The Education Lounge podcast.
Welcome to the Education Lounge podcast. My name's Rupa. I'm one of the tutors at Redbridge Tuition. Today I am talking with Helena and Anna. They're both parents who we've worked with for their children for 7+. Firstly, I want to say congratulations to both of you because they got the school they wanted. And so the conversation is really just about their experience, what we could have done better, and just life in general really during the 7+, life in general during the 7+. So welcome Helena, welcome Anna.
Thank you.
So let's start by talking about how you found us. I know that it was you were walking past, I think, weren't you?
Yes,
and
it was by chance, and we just popped in the shop and asked about classes and price and how it all works, and then just decided to try it out, and successfully.
What was your first impression when you walked in?
Well, what impressed us, it was nice and quiet, and even the group lessons where you had kids working in, you can see they were concentrating, they were working, it was quiet, and obviously that would caught our eye that, everyone was interested, everyone was working, and because we've seen other tutors working in a group where it was too noisy, kids were walking around, eating, not listening, and obviously you don't want to put kids in that condition. So It was, you could see the work progress, and it was nice. And
also, it's actual tutor is teaching them, not like students just 2 years older of your child just sitting and supervising them.
Yes.
So some tuition center they would give them a printed work, and then a little girl would sit or a little boy would sit and supervise them. But there was a teacher who would explain them how to do it, and the discipline was small as well. So it was not sitting and eating crisps and walking around. That's the main thing.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's smaller groups as well, so you could see each child around the table, what they're working, what their work is, how they're concentrating. So basically the teacher was in control, and that is a good thing.
Yeah. So when Alia and Nicholas first started, they started with us in year 1.
Mm-hmm.
I know, Anna, for you, it wasn't initially about 7+.
Yeah, it was just to keep Nicholas on a good level at school, make sure he's not falling behind anywhere, and if he had somewhere the gaps that will be filled in. And
So what made you then decide to go for 7+?
Well, all my fault. Apart from pressure from Elena, who says, "Oh, we should do it. You should do it. 11+ is even worse." And then since we were tutoring Nicholas anyway, we thought, okay, we can. If by the time the exams come, he will be on a good level, we will try it. That's the aim was, and he was on the right level. And we tried it, succeeded, which is very good. Thank you. But lots of kids do it by pressure at school, because that some parents start talking about it, some parents start doing it, and the fear of missing out is quite strong.
Yes, it is actually, because this is one of the ways that a lot of tutors that I've heard about, so I've been doing this since 2007, so you get to hear stories, and you constantly hear about tutors talking about putting that sort of pressure on, well, you're going to miss out, your child's going to miss out.
Yeah.
Which I think it's not the pressure from the tutor, it's pressure from the parents. Like, your exam is coming in next month in a week, you have to sit down, but we never emphasize on that. You will go there, you will try, it will work out fine, not it doesn't matter, the world does not end on that.
No, exactly.
And the presumption is that 7+ has it's easier and has less competition, which is totally not true in either way. So it's actually more competition and it's more pressure on your kid because they're small.
So yes, because they're so small, it's actually really challenging. But one of the reasons, so we're based in Redbridge, and the 7+ exam is for the independent schools, not brown schools. For those that are not fully aware of that, the 3 big schools in our area are Forest, Bancroft, and Chigwell. There are some smaller independent schools also, but Forest have recently moved to 6+, which means that we now only have Bancroft and Chigwell for 7+, and therefore the pressure is that much greater.
Actually, it's. I think what school did, it's really unfair. Maybe they did it to improve their statistics and the times in that time, which is. But it's unfair. So there will be more competition. There will be. They're younger, 6+. How do you? Because it's lots of skill depends on maturity level of kids.
Yes.
And if your kid is not mature, especially lots of summer babies. There's a year difference between the summer baby and the autumn baby, right? So it's, but in a year time they might develop much nicely.
Yes, because each child obviously develops at a different rate, and they are so young. So Nicholas was what, 5?
No, Alia was 5 and Nicholas was 6.
Okay, yeah. So Alia was 5.
Yeah, and I would totally agree with Anna, because to do 6+, you cannot be judged on your maths because you are not doing much yet. You cannot be judged on anything else except how talkative you are.
Yes, and how you express yourself.
Yeah, but then I would sit quietly in a corner and
is very quiet. Yeah.
So I think that's wrong. It's not my thing to judge, but I think as a parent I would not agree with that.
Yes, but obviously it is difficult.
Yeah, but obviously they will take kids that are very matured at that age, very independent, because that's what school are looking for. Independent and mature kids for 6+, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they are more intelligent than others.
No,
because by the age of 7+ or 11+, the difference will be
it is a massive difference. Those few years, the development is substantial, and so it makes it difficult,
especially in boys.
Yes, it really was quite challenging with Nick. As I was saying to you earlier, where I used to think when Nicholas first started, it would be I'd work with him for an hour, and it would be really difficult to get him to sit down for that hour, because obviously he's that sort of a child. He's a kinesthetic learner, so we'd have to work we couldn't work with just pen and paper for that whole hour.
You wouldn't sit for more than 20 minutes, but
I'd get a sentence out of him in that hour, and I'd think, what is Anna going to think? What's she going to think that we've done this whole time? Obviously we'd be talking and we'd be working on his development that way. But to put pen to paper was really challenging at the beginning.
Yeah, and I know lots of boys are like that. They don't sit for more than 20 minutes. But look, the progress was in the year. By the end of the year, he could sit an hour, and he could concentrate in an hour. And that's what I'm saying. He totally wasn't prepared for 6+.
No.
But 7+ was different.
Yes.
So a year makes quite a lot of difference.
It does, and I think you're right, because Alia was very much, I need pen and paper.
And that's the main point, because she would sit quietly and she would write her ideas, but she would not tell the person whom she never seen in her life all the stories and all the ideas that she has. So it's kind of it's unfair.
Yeah.
Well, all the children are different. Some of them were very they don't care to whom to talk.
Mm-hmm.
They can,
They're confident earlier.
They're confident, they can talk to a stranger, they can lecture them even.
Yes.
But with Ale, it would be like, I have my ideas, I will write it down, just leave me alone.
But even working with Alia, it took, I would say, a good 6 weeks before she truly warmed up to us.
Because she would not talk to the person whom she doesn't know.
Yeah.
Because when we had the interview on Chigwell School, the actual teacher asked, how is Alia? She's confident? Yes, she's confident, but she has to know you.
Yes.
She has to know to whom she's talking, about what she's talking, what she can say. It's difficult.
Yes. Yeah. And, it took a long time, even with me, because I didn't work with Alia towards the end, but I did work with her at I'd say probably the majority of the prep. Probably the last 3-4 months she worked with Chanel.
Yeah.
And it took a good 6 weeks before she'd actually warmed up to me and would talk to me properly meaning give me her ideas.
Yeah, because if you ask her even how are you, she'll say good.
Yes, and she wouldn't. And so it's not a short process, is what I'm trying to say. Nicholas was the opposite. He would just say what's on his mind, and that's it.
Yeah, even it's a silly thing.
But that's fine. Obviously, very different children. So the challenge for us was how do we, obviously they know each other, so that helped. That made a big difference. But the challenge for us was they both learn very differently. And how do we deliver that same lesson but in a different way? And that was quite difficult. So the first thing really we had to do was assess how they learn, and then sort of take it from there. So at that age, it's quite important to have something tactile that they can.
Yeah, Nicholas enjoyed all these math games and 100 square.
Yeah. So we used to do a lot of mental maths on the 100 square board.
Yeah. He really, and I think that helped him because then you visualize and then you remember also visually. And now in year 2, for one of the game times, teacher gives them 100 table. But in terms of a puzzle.
Yes.
But you need to mentally know where it is. So he does it quite quickly.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. So that would, and then using cubes to help them learn place value and all of that. That made a big difference. Yeah. For Alia, it was more about the challenge of how quickly she could finish it. It was always, okay, we've got to this time.
I need to beat Nicholas this time. So that's my aim for today.
So part of your success is Nicholas, for sure.
So that was quite interesting, and I really did enjoy working with both of them. I'm really missing them actually, but hey ho, that's life.
Wait, there might be 11 plans.
We're not going to go through that process again.
No. I mean,
she will apply for scholarship. She will be back.
I believe that there is no need to say torture or train excessively your kid if you can avoid it.
Absolutely.
I mean, grammar schools are good, but I don't agree with parents who tutor them to death just to get to grammar school. They need to...
Well, every piece of evidence, every piece of research shows that you can only up, I forget the figure now, you can only up your child's ability by about 10%. So, if and grammar schools in particular, the 7+ and independent schools don't do this, but the grammar school use bell curve, which so it's a standardized score. So what they do is they take the year and month of the child's date of birth and then apply a formula to that. So the idea is that the younger children get a higher mark for the same.
Yeah.
So it's standard deviation.
Mm-hmm.
You can only push that by about 10%. So if your child is for whatever reason in the bottom 30% of that bell curve, it doesn't matter how much you tutor them, they're never going to get there.
Yeah.
At that particular point in time, that doesn't mean they're not going to be successful in what they do.
I mean, let's say you can finish Oxford education, Oxford University, and still be no one in your career, so it's not representative. Yes. But we obviously want our kids to do better than average, and obviously it's every parent worry if your kid is somewhere behind. But I if I can afford paying for school and not tutor my kid to, I do understand when the need calls for, we cannot afford, we need to get this grant because I want my kids to succeed, but they cannot afford it. But if you can afford it, I just...
What's the point?
What's the point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand.
So God forbid I can afford it and I don't need... Children will naturally be like, they need to find a way.
Yes. You can only do so much and then beyond that.
Yeah. And I've done my part, it's 7+.
Yes. we very often do get, over the years, we've had parents who've come to us, particularly for 11 plus, and will want every hour you can give them. And we've had parents in the past where the child has had a different tutor every night. So the minute we find out, okay, that's what's happening, a child's got 5 different tutors, we generally won't work with them. Because what we're looking for is a partnership. The way that we worked with you guys, and I know it was 7+, not 11+, but the way that we worked with you guys was very much, okay, this is what we've done with them in the tuition lesson, this is what they need to do at home, and this is the support they need at home. And you guys were brilliant at that, and that's one of the reasons they were both successful. If you had simply left them and said, okay, this is the homework, get it done, and not had any real input, particularly because they're so young.
But you're right, it's halfway tutor, and I'm sorry to say 80% parent, because you have to force them. There is no way that you can force Nicholas to, or make sure that he does the work at the lesson, but at home, it's different, then I still have to make an effort, find time, to make sure that he does work, homework, additional work, and everything where, he's not focused. Yes. Make sure that he does it,
Yeah, because if you think about it, I did the calculation, I forgive me, I don't remember exactly, but if a child's with us for a year and they come to us 2 or 3 hours a week, it's generally about a term's worth in terms of school time. And we have to fit the whole of the curriculum in that time.
Yeah.
So if a parent just leaves it to the tuition centre or the tutor, it doesn't work, in my opinion.
No, it doesn't, and I agree.
But with the education-wise, at school, we give him a bit of here, a bit of there, a bit of fractions, a bit of mental math, a bit of something else, but we don't walk with them through, for 7+ time, timetable, fractions, but we don't cover deeply, so we have a basic knowledge, but sometimes we forget, because we've been doing that 2 months ago and never since.
So there's 2 reasons for that. One is the schools are generally geared up to work particularly the school that Alia and Nicholas are at, that school is geared up for 11 plus. So when they get to year 5, is when the push will happen in that school.
I know this. My opinion, like why I was torturing Hannah. Come on, we have to do it. Not for forcing her, because I find if the child is taking easy for 4 years, to do it in 1 year, it's quite difficult.
It is difficult.
So you have to do it. You have to be on the standard level constantly to do the big jump in the final year just before the exam.
Yes.
That's why I told her, look, we have to start it earlier, otherwise it will be not possible, especially with the lockdown happening in the middle.
Yes.
That would have been, if we would not start like a year before, we would not be able to do it.
Yes.
Yeah, but also obviously it's the system of this country. It's not about your knowledge, it's about how the system to pass the paper.
It's how many hoops you can jump through.
Yeah, but also like you need, even kids at 7 plus, they need to learn how to do the papers for this school, because the kid could be very intelligent, like really above average, but without knowledge of that system of past papers, of what they're looking for, there's no guarantee. So you need to know, you need to learn the system of passing the exam.
And that's part of the process.
Yeah.
So what a lot of tutors will do is just do paper after paper after paper after paper. And we generally won't work like that. As you've experienced, we will focus on a topic. So,
on basics first.
And then, like you say, we build that deep knowledge in that topic and only at that point apply it. So with Alia, similes, for example, we got to a point where she just learned how to write with a simile, put a simile into a sentence. And we had to then pull her back because she wanted a simile in every single sentence that she could possibly write, because that was her new favourite tool.
I still tell Nicholas, you write an essay, you put simile, you put 2 adjectives with a comma, you put 1 difficult adjective, you put somewhere exclamation mark, you're done. Yeah, but it's exactly what the system is looking for, and you need to know what are they looking for.
Yes.
So because the kids can write a beautiful story, but it might be too simple for the exam, or you might be not enough of adjectives, or you need to show your work. And like Nicholas, for example, he would skip step of showing how he does math. He just does it in his head and put the answer. And we had
that
to tell
was
him,
always the challenge I had.
I know, and we had to tell him on the exam, you have to write down, even if it's like 2 plus 2 equal 4, and then another step 4 plus 2, like something. You need to show it, and he forgets.
Yeah.
He forgets because for him, I calculated in the head. Why do I need to show?
Why do I need to show it?
Yeah.
You got my answer.
Yeah.
It's a typical male thing, I think.
Exactly. And he will just put the answer, and some people will think, oh, he just maybe took it out lucky.
But you see, the problem with that is because obviously the school doesn't know Nicholas. Like if he did it with me after having worked with him for the period of time I did, I got to know him and I got to know his processes. But in an exam condition, obviously they ask for that because the school doesn't know Nicholas. He doesn't know. They don't know what his processes are. I mean, short of. See, Chickwell does, I don't know whether they still do, but they do half a day, don't they, with the children? Obviously they didn't do it in lockdown. But
they do half a day with children.
Yeah, so they get to know the child.
Okay, because we did it online and it was...
it was different this year, but generally they'll ask, even at 11 plus, they'll ask for they'll talk to the parents, they'll ask for the child to come in with something of interest. So a couple of years ago, we were working with a boy at the other centre, and I said, so when we were sort of talking through the interview process with him, I said, well, what are you going to take in? They've asked you to take in something. And he said, I make aeroplanes out of pieces of paper. And in my head, I thought, in all the years I've done this, I've never come across that before. But, and I immediately just wrote that off, thinking, well, that's not something that you can go in and talk about. But then when we talked about it, he was making really intricate, complicated,
like origami type.
Like origami type things. He did get in the end. But that was really interesting. So even at 11 plus, they will ask you to bring in something as a sort of icebreaker, because they know that children get nervous.
Oh, Nicholas was asked on the interview, what's your favourite sport? And he said golf. He said, I played golf before. Well, he played mini golf, and he really likes golf, like he really wants to play it, but obviously there was no opportunity. He said golf, his favourite sport. He plays basketball, he likes to play football, but I think he was so nervous that he said
the first thing that came into his head. Did they ask him why?
Yeah, and they asked him, did you play it? And he said yes, he did play mini golf, and I don't think he knows the difference between proper golf and mini golf.
Oh, bless him.
So for him, mini golf is golf.
Well, it is. He's little, and so
the concept is the same. Like, but yeah. And even yesterday we were reading a book, and in the book there was a boy discussing that golf is probably the most boring sport in the world, and Nicholas was like, no, but golf is so interesting. He's like, have you ever tried to watch golf on TV? I thought I will show him today, see how long he will survive.
Yeah. In terms of the schools that you applied for, perhaps we can just have a quick chat about why you chose those particular schools. I don't know.
So we applied for both Bancroft and Chigwell, but our first choice was Chigwell because they look at the kid, like at well-rounded kids. So they want kids that are intelligent and yet sporty enough. And Nicholas we want him to develop sport, and he's a very sporty kid. He's very energetic. We try to, in swimming and basketball and whatever running he wants, like scooter classes and stuff. So he will not be happy if he would put just in pure academic frame. And even during tutoring for 7+, we did lots of lessons with you, but we compensated it with lots of sport classes. Otherwise, he wouldn't survive.
Because I know that was a bit of a challenge during lockdown, wasn't it?
Yeah. So even after your lessons, we will take him to do like scooter classes or swimming, and his day will be until 8, but he would be happier.
Yes.
We promise him you have to sit and focus for an hour academically, but we will take you to do sport afterwards. And that was his kind of motivation.
His release.
Yeah, his release and his motivation.
Yeah.
So.
It's interesting because I've never really thought about it, but he talked very little about all of these other classes.
Yeah, but it's Nicholas who like golf, and he said that I play the guitar. It's like I force you to play the guitar. I love playing the guitar. you love playing Mario, but actually playing Nintendo helps him with playing the guitar because it's the same 2 fingers, and he manages not to look so much like I would. For example, I would look.
Yeah.
And for him, it's easier, but. here basketball and swimming and all the sport classes. And he chooses golf.
But it's the kids, because I would come up with the solution. She would make up a story on a go.
Yes.
For example, at one interview, we asked her, "What instrument do you play?" She said recorder. And then on what level? Twinkle, twinkle. I know she doesn't even know how to play Twinkle, Twinkle, but she made it on the go.
Wow.
Well,
I asked her,
first.
I asked her, "Do you know how to play Twinkle, Twinkle?" She said, "No, but I need the answer."
So she knew that she needed to answer. It's amazing.
Which is good skill, huh?
Yeah, but it's a natural skill. That's not something you can teach.
No, but you'll develop it.
Oh, yeah. So, in terms of the schools that you went for, Alina, can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we can. We applied for St. Paul's, Chigwell and Bancroft's. And then we, at the end, she got through all these schools, but then at the end we chose Bancroft. Because, to be honest, I felt sorry for her at the end. I thought it would be not fair on her.
Because of the travel.
Because of the travel and because she's a summer baby.
Yeah.
So she's too young to have so much pressure, which is, Bancroft is still academic, it's still a good school, and it's less pressure.
Yeah. The St. Paul's were very impressed with her.
Yes, actually we were.
Because that was the first result you had, wasn't it?
Yes, and but because of the lockdown, all the schools changed the format just 2 weeks before the exam.
Yes.
So we had to, in 2 weeks, when we got to know what will be actually in the exam, because they sent us a list, like what we will be doing at actual exam.
What the process would be.
Yes, so we found out that it will be non-verbal, verbal, creative writing, spelling. It's even the spelling was, special spelling test was in there.
Yes.
So we had to adjust very quickly.
Yes. But she did really well.
She did really well, and I think that was the easiest exam, because actually in Bancroft we had to go to the school and sit the exam at school.
Yes, yes.
But I think that was the easiest one, because I saw how she done it. She said, done. I'm like, okay.
I must admit, I just probably about a month before the exams were due initially, I did an 8+ paper with her, and she did that paper. So I sat and just watched her, and just watched where she was struggling, thinking, okay, she will probably need help with the more challenging stuff in there. She did that paper in half the time that was allocated, and I think she had two really silly errors in that paper.
The thing is with Alia, she can do silly mistakes.
Yeah.
If I tell her, Alia, look, 1000 minus 765, please do the column method, don't do it in your head, and she'll, why? I know the answer. And she would do silly mistake because in her head she cannot put -1.
Yes, yeah.
So she will forget it and make a mistake.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I know her. She's capable, but she's very stubborn. If she has in her head, no, I will do it, all the maths in my head, I would not write it down.
Yes.
That will be the error which will.
That actually was probably with both of them one of the biggest challenges we had, to say to them, look, show you're working.
But it will be with every kid.
Yeah.
I mean, kids, they don't understand that on the exam you have to follow the 13 method, and at 7+ they don't even understand it, so they will skip the steps.
Yes.
And
I think because for them to do the numbers in the head, that's a competition. That's really when they can show off to each other. But they don't think that it's not showing between them, it's to show somebody else. So I think it's because they're very competitive but they still don't get it, like where to apply that thing.
Yes, yes.
Because Alia and Nicholas, they would sit and clash, like, I'm the first, no, I done that first, no, you don't know, I know. It would be the, day-to-day thing.
Yes. Particularly because obviously they're
Same school.
same
as well.
school and they
Same
know
class.
each other out of school, and so I think that makes a difference. I think it would be maybe slightly different if we'd kept them in a class with other students.
Yeah, still,
Maybe.
it's we tried like in Russian school online. Despite that there are the children, they still compete with each other.
Yes.
It's not.
It's they would sit, Nicholas would sit here and there would sit like, have you done it? Okay, I'm the first, just for you to know it.
Yeah.
So if we can just talk a little bit about Redbridge Tuition, and your experience with us, I think, because I think we've covered quite a lot of ground in terms of the general education, unless there was something you wanted to add to that.
Yeah. It's. I mean, for 7th class, you obviously need to choose right school. I mean, you can try to everything, but you have to always keep in mind the choice of school and what school is suitable for your kid. And in terms of Redbridge, I think you're doing all is necessary to prepare our kids. Yeah, and obviously the fact that you tailor lessons to each kid, you challenge them, you give them new topics, you most importantly cover the gaps in basics, because you can tutor them to pass the exam, but they need to come to a new school, and be on a good level. Be in comparison to the kids that are there, they should be on the level.
Yes.
And if they have gaps in basics maths or basics English, that gap will show quite quickly when they start next year.
Yes.
So, and that's most important.
I think for us, a lot of it was about, and is with every child, not just with Alia and with Nicholas, it's about making sure that whatever we do with them will help them in the long run. For us, it isn't just about, okay, we'll teach you how to pass the exam, we'll teach you how to jump through that hoop. It's about seeing how far we can get that particular child to develop their skills in the amount of time we have allocated that they're with us. And we obviously have to start with absolute basics, but we'll try and do it so that it's fun. So times table challenges, for example, very common in school, very common in how they're done. But I mean, one of the things we'll do is the tutor will sit and work, and they have to try and beat the tutor. And that a lot of children
maybe competition towards the tutor.
And that works really, really well.
I would love challenge John.
So with Alia, John would give her quite challenging work.
He was just out of fun, like, come on, let's try it.
So sometimes it would be 2 years ahead. And we did that with we worked with a girl who, again, actually 11 plus. She sat for St Paul's and got St Paul's, but they for the same reason they didn't take it. In the end, they chose Henrietta Barnett, and she'd moved from Forest to Henrietta Barnett. She'd finished the class, she'd finished the 11 plus class, and there'd be I think it was a GCSE physics class going on, and it was like year 11 GCSE physics. And she'd just go and join the class while she was waiting for her mum to pick her up. and she was actually stronger in that without being taught than some of the children actually sitting that GCSE class. Sort of reminds me of what Alia was doing with the maths. So, you know, it helps to challenge them, I think.
And they do enjoy that thing. They do, because they feel, because especially when they're little, they like to be big.
Yes.
And they like to show that I know that I'm small, but it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. Okay, so in terms of our tutors and in terms of our processes, do you think that you would firstly recommend us to anybody? I know the answer to that, so don't worry about answering that.
We will be sitting here, right?
And generally, what you think might have made your processes easier, if there is anything in particular.
Not really anything. Because it was kind of easy enough, I think. Like, you would explain them how to do it, and then we would just practice at home. I think there's nothing else to add it up.
Yeah, I mean, as we said, you tailor to the needs of each kid. You understand how the mind works, and you give them different types of work. So that's all you can expect from the tutor. To be attentive to what your kid needs.
Yeah,
that's excellent from that bridge tuition.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
And I have to say congratulations to you both again. I'm so chuffed, honestly. I'm not just saying it, I'm really chuffed for both of them. And I am really missing them.
Back soon.
Bring them back soon.
We will.
Thank you.
If I will decide, come on, Alia, I'm fed up paying.
Oh, grammar school. I mean, the other thing is 7+ is you tutor them to get to the schools, but if your kid is smart enough, why to tutor them now and not at 11+ when you can also try grammar schools? You know what I mean?
No.
I mean, like you can miss 7+
Yes.
and just do 11+ or concentrate on 11+, because by doing 7+,
It's additional pressure.
It's additional pressure. Like if you decide that you want your kid to go to grammar school at 11+, just keep 7+ and just concentrate on 11. Let them give them a bit of childhood. That's my opinion.
Yes.
So
Yeah, because it is grueling 7+. It's not easy.
no, and but for quarantine, I don't think we would have done it on Nicholas, because we're both working parents. We just wouldn't have time. We had time because we're sitting at home.
Yes.
But if you come back from work, pick up your kid from after school, and you have to you literally have 2 to 3 hours to feed and to do the homework.
Everything is very difficult.
When do you add these additional hours to tutor?
Yes.
You don't. We had lessons on Monday and Wednesday. We could do it because we're at home. We could bring them to the tuition center within 10 minutes, work from car.
Yes.
But in normal scenario, when we open up, we cannot do it.
Yes.
So I think there's lots of challenges at 7+. But now, my view is I'm not gonna press Nicholas. If he's gonna fall back, we're gonna come back.
Hopefully it won't happen.
If he stays on the level, just until GCSEs, he needs to develop at his own pace.
And as I've done my bit, that's it.
Yeah. He can do whatever sport. He can do both.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you both.
Thank you.